Welcome back to Crypto MiCA. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. It really does help with the algorithm. Now let's get into this. We're sitting at $3.02, trading within a range of $2.96 to $3.12. It does look like we turned that $2.96 resistance into support. We didn't drop down to that $2.80 range, which is very good. We're down about 3% on the day still. We'll see where we go from here, but we did hold that $2.96 range. And let's go down that old rabbit hole a little bit. If this is actually true and Brad Garlinghouse life is in danger, then XRP and Ripple are the ultimate game changer. That means that XRP is much more important than we ever dreamed of. The intel sources say Brad Garlinghouse life is in danger. Ripple CEO is carrying the key to dismantling the global banking cartel. Now Brad's name is flashing red inside intelligence circles. Let's connect the dots. Let's go down this rabbit hole and see what we find out. Why are they, or why could they be targeting Brad? Well, he controls the rollout of the XRP ledger, the neutral bridge that bypasses legacy banking chokeholds. Ripple has cleared the SEC warfare, making it battle ready for the U.S. institutional adoption. His rumored connections to Trump's economic team tied Ripple directly to America's crypto weaponization plan. To the old guard, Garlinghouse is now public enemy number one. Brad and Trump. Private donor dinners in 2024 reportedly included Brad Garlinghouse among Trump's financial backers. Ripple's push for U.S.-anchored stablecoin rails aligns perfectly with Trump's America First liquidity policy. Both share a mission, keep the dollar dominance intact, but on-chain. If true, this explains the coordinated pressure campaigns we're seeing now. Who would want him silent? Well, the global banks, of course, JP Morgan, Citibank, HSBC, that profit off of SWIFT fees. European dynasties whose power relies on delayed settlement windows they manipulate. Globalist policy groups like the WEF, IMF, terrified of Ripple's rails favoring U.S. liquidity. The louder Ripple gets, the harder the attacks on Brad may become. Evidence of targeting. SEC's years-long delaying tactic. Classic financial warfare. Strategic media leaks painting Ripple as shadowy, while ETH was given a regulatory free pass. Now whispers in D.C. about personal security concerns for Garlinghouse amid his growing political relevance. The pattern is undeniable. Suppression through intimidation. Honestly, when you think about it, it makes complete sense. The elite and the banking cartels do not want to lose their control or their power. Ripple and XRP does exactly that. Why this matters for XRP? That isn't just Ripple's CEO. He is the guardian of the switch. Without him, negotiations with U.S. regulators collapse. Without him, the global CBDC's corridors integrating XRPL face delays. With him, the rails flip overnight. The fear around Brad's safety shows us just how close we are to the moment. If Garlinghouse is in danger, it's because XRP is more powerful than most can imagine. He holds the key to a financial order that puts blockchain over bankers, liquidity over lobbyists, and America over Europe's cabals. The question isn't if the flip switches, it's whether Brad will be protected long enough to flip it himself. They wouldn't try to silence him unless XRP was the weapon that could end their empire. Stay awake, the moment is closer than anyone thinks. That flip of the switch could happen at any moment. Bitcoin and ETH won't make the regulatory cut, but XRP will. MiCA favors real-world use, compliance, and trust. XRP is already clearing the path others still pretend it doesn't exist. Let's check this out. XRP and MiCA, why regulators favor utility over speculation. Central banks on innovation. Regulators are not anti-innovation, they want a safe adoption. The goal, stability, consumer protection, and system integrity while still enabling technical growth. MiCA's role in crypto regulation. MiCA, EU's framework to bring trust, resilience, and standards into crypto. Focus, crypto assets with clear issuers who can be held accountable. Aim, strike balance between fostering innovation and reducing risk. Why Bitcoin and Ethereum are out of the scope. No identifiable issuer, not covered under MiCA. Both are highly speculative and volatile, raising consumer protection concerns. Regulators remain cautious about heavy retail marketing of such unbacked assets. Why XRP fits MiCA better. Issuer and accountability. Ripple provides a legal entity, trust charter, and compliance structure. Enterprise-grade use, XRP plus RLUSD. Designed for payments, tokenization, and institutional finance, not retail speculation. Regulatory alignment. Ripple already works with banks, regulators, and global institutions. It fits MiCA standards for resilience and consumer protection. Utility-driven. XRP Ledger supports tokenization, stablecoins, and smart contracts, the real financial use cases. The bigger picture, tokenization and DLT are reshaping finance. Regulators like the Central Bank of Ireland accept risk when it's managed responsibly. XRP aligns with this by offering compliance, utility, and institutional adoption. XRP news that I've been telling you is coming, and why. There is talk about Ripple will halt XRP sales to the general public, as I predicted a while back. This also helps solidify my theory that Ripple themselves were the ones keeping the price down in conjunction with the U.S. government in order to get back as much as possible. I told you the lawsuit was just a vetting process for Ripple to be a USA private partner. I told you to take profits but save a bag on a cold wallet. You might not be able to buy back in later. Take it off exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto. Do not forget that.
Biggest XRP catalyst that you think will happen? I mean, the banking license, one, sure, for Ripple. Obviously, we've already seen quite a few, but there's also involvement in potentially a SWIFT movement in terms of cross-border payments. What would be your catalyst that you think would move the market?
I think those are both catalysts. I think that it's hard to say. If they get approved as a bank and then announce they're not going to sell any more XRP onto the market because they want to capitalize the bank, I think that would be an enormous impetus for price. That's gigantic. But then I think as SWIFT breaks down and ISO 222, I think that they're not projecting SWIFT to use it for a few years yet to be totally content with that.
If Ripple were to get their banking license and then decide to not sell to the general public anymore, that would be massive for XRP, massive. And to boot, if they're not expecting SWIFT to be able to use ISO 222 standards for a couple of years still, even though it's supposed to roll out on November 22nd of this year, that kind of don't make no sense to me. Maybe that's why they are partnering and working with the likes of XLM, XRP, HBAR, and other DLTs.
I think that when Ripple flips all the switches and all these NDAs they talk about come alive, and when you start seeing banks announce, we did this much on the blockchain ledger in terms of moving your money, and we did this much on SWIFT, and the SWIFT is going down and blockchain's going up. I think that's a big deal. And there's another point to be made here for the economy as a whole. Most people don't understand that banks have to keep capital in both places. If you want to send money from Miami to Tokyo, okay, banks have to have money in Tokyo and money in Miami under the current system. That all goes away. All that capital is going to be freed up with the blockchain. That's going to burnish the bank's balance sheets even more. But more so, they're going to be able to loan money. They're going to be able to finance their trading desks. It's going to open up so much capital to economic growth in general around the globe. It's a wonderful thing. The blockchain is literally going to open up value because it's going to unlock a lot of frozen money on the bank's balance sheets. And that's really important. Nobody seems to be talking about that.
And that is very important. And what he's talking about is the 27 trillion in locked away in Nostro Vostro accounts all around the world that these banks have to keep there in order to do transactions right now. And don't forget, the Fed Master account will give access to Ripple directly to the Fed's trading volume. I have always said connections are key in this industry. Ripple is a government agency disguised as private equity. Fed trading volume equals trillions per day of XRP volume. Gotta say it, friends. Gotta say it. The institutions are here. Archax is proud to announce that we have entered a strategic partnership with the Stellar Development Foundation, which includes a direct investment into Archax Group to support our mission, tokenizing the world. Recently integrated Stellar into our tokenization engine and issued one of our flagship money market funds on the Stellar network. Multi-chain, multi-token system, my friends. And last up, more stablecoin innovation coming to XLM. We've seen stablecoins come on Stellar for USD, EUR, and AUD and more. Now we're seeing the South African Rand join Stellar's payment-driven ecosystem via TD Markets Exchange launching ZART coin. But this isn't just your usual stablecoin. It's actually a yield-bearing stablecoin, much like we've seen with Ondo's OUSG. What this simply means is that while the valuation is pegged 1-to-1 with the South African Rand, users will be earning a variable APY purely by holding ZART coin. This is one of the newer innovations to stablecoin infrastructure and brings tons of potential. Beyond the obvious fact of holding it to accumulate yield and interest, it serves as a solution to minimize the impacts of currency inflation and debasement. With TD Markets being a FCSA regulated broker, we can be sure that the compliance was at the top of priority. We're seeing true global unbanked financial infrastructure deploying onto Stellar. We've seen U.S. entities like Circle and Paxos. We've seen EU giants like Sogen and Decta. We've also seen Australia fintechs like Navati. And now we've got the African brokers bringing yield-bearing innovation to the Stellar network. Well, that's what I have for you folks. Until next time, stay savvy, stay stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. And if you want more crypto deep dives, check out our videos right here on Crypto Meets AI. Thank you for watching. Remember to always do your own research. This is not financial advice.